first thing we're going to talk about is on the left side of the bus. And the first aircraft I'm going to talk about is this B-52H Stratofortress. This aircraft was designed in the late 40s, early 50s, and she first flew in 1952. She's been extended by the Air Force, and they're going to keep her on active duty service until 2050. I will bet you any amount of money they keep her on service until 2052. So she has the distinct history of being the only active military aircraft on active duty for 100 years. Now this airplane, when it first came out, they wanted to see what they could do with it. So they had it down at low altitudes. They would fly it, putting it through its bases. It hit some really heavy turbulence, and it sheared that vertical stabilizer completely off the back of the airplane. So if you know anything about airplanes and boats, without a rudder, you can't steer it. So being a NASA crew, and they were very clever and very quick thinking, they dirtied the airplane up by lowering the flaps, and they lowered the back landing gear. And this caused drag, and that took up some of the work that the vertical stabilizer does. But they didn't have a rudder, so they couldn't turn it. What they did to turn the airplane, they would advance the engines on either side and decrease the engines on the opposite side, and that's how they were able to turn the airplane by the force of the engines. They flew this aircraft for another 6 hours in this configuration until they burned off enough fuel that they were light enough that they could land safely. They landed, they repaired the aircraft, and flew through Vietnam into the first Desert Storm, and then it was retired out here to AMARG. Now, this airplane is getting old, she's getting up in her years, and the crews are now lovingly referring to her as the Stratosaurus. Okay, we're going to stay on the left side of the bus, and the next aircraft we're going to talk about has a black DY and a black marker on her tail there. This is the B-1B Lancer, and she is a supersonic, subsonic bomber. You can tell that by her swivel wings and the 4 turbine engines underneath her wings there. And she was designed to take the place of the B-52, but they found out that she worked very well together, and so they kept them both online. Now you can see that her bomb bay doors are open, and also her crew access ladder and hatch is open right behind the front landing gear. Her nose is missing because these are not museum pieces. These are active Air Force and Navy, Marine Corps, Army aircraft. They can be returned to flight or scrapped at any time. This is not a museum. These aircraft are all in storage and continue to serve. So her nose and radar was taken off of her and put on another aircraft in active duty and continues to serve. Now this aircraft is comfortable at high altitudes supersonic or low altitudes subsonic, and she is a great bomber. Okay, we're going to continue on, staying on the left side of the bus. We're going to talk about this little old airplane over here, the gray one. She has a Texas flag on her tail and the American flag. And if you look at the seam along the nose there, you can see the damp traces. That is where that whole nose of this aircraft will disengage and raise up over that windscreen just like an alligator's mouth and open that whole area completely up. Now this is the C-5A Galaxy. This is the biggest airplane that the United States Air Force flies. There are 4 aircraft that are bigger than her, but they're Soviet aircraft. This is the biggest one the Americans fly. Now, once that nose is lifted up and disengaged and out of the way, they will lower the aircraft down hydraulically onto her landing gear and lower that loading lip to about the height of a tailgate of a pickup truck. Then they'll put out their ramps, and she can be loaded from the back or front. And she's a heavy lifter, and she does her job well. And that's the C-5 Galaxy. We're going to jump over to the right side of the bus now, so the folks on the right don't get mad at me. We're going to talk about these 2 trainer aircraft. T stands for trainer. So we're going to talk about the T-38 Thailand and the T-37 Tweak. You'll notice that the T-38 Thailand is painted black, and you wonder why is a trainer airplane painted black? This aircraft flew with the U-2 Dragon Lady pilots, and so that's why she's painted in the same color as a U-2 spy aircraft. can see it's a tandem aircraft, meaning the pilots sit one behind the other. NASA still flies examples of these aircraft for astronaut proficiency flight. And this type of aircraft also flew with the demonstration team, the United States Thunderbirds, for quite some time during the gas crisis back in the day. And then once they were retired, the F-16 Fighting Falcon took over and still flies that program. Great airplane. The next one, the T-37 Tweet, that is an unofficial name. She never had a name, but everybody called her the Tweety Bird. The reason they called her this is because of those two turbine engines make such a high squealing noise that you have to have hearing protection to work around this airplane. Wherever they flew at, they would soundproof the buildings along the flight line and out wherever this aircraft flew because of that high squeal, so they called her the Tweety Bird. It was not official, but now it is official. That's what her name is, the Tweet. And if you look at the paint job, that's very interesting. Dark Air Force blue underneath, a white top. Remember, this is a trainer. It's a side-by-side configuration, meaning that the pilots sit just like you do in your seats on the bus. But that paint job, look at it. If you saw this airplane and you saw the white on the bottom, you'd know it was flying inverted. Okay? And so from a distance, the training pilots and things can tell the orientation of this aircraft by that paint job. I think that's just an awesome idea. All right, we're going to jump over to the left side of the bus, folks. The next aircraft we're going to talk about is this light blue one with the dark blue stripe on her side. She has the NASA symbol on her tail. This is the C9 Zero Gravity Trainer. Does anybody have any idea what her nickname is? Her nickname is the Vomit Comet. And the way you get this nickname is that she goes up in the air, she hits her apex, she turns over, and she dives back down towards the earth. During that shallow dive, it causes a zero gravity sensation throughout that aircraft, and the astronauts and pilots get to experience zero gravity. Now, if they have motion sickness or they have a weak stomach, that's how they get her nickname, because they will add to it. Now, this aircraft that you're looking at right here is a Hollywood Star. If you saw Apollo 13, this is the aircraft that flew the zero gravity shots in that movie. And there she is, folks. We're going to jump over to the right side of the bus now. Next two aircraft we're going to talk about are these 4-engine prop jobs over here, the gray ones. The first one I'm going to talk about has 337 on her nose, but she has a big old barn door in front of her vertical stabilizer back there on the back of the aircraft. This is the MP3D Orion. What that barn door is a radar dish, and what that was designed to do was track the re-entry of ICBMs and missiles coming back into our atmosphere from the outer atmosphere, and that's what this aircraft was designed to do, and she did it well, and gave that information out to the agencies that needed to have that trajectory. Now, look at this airplane, folks. Isn't that a gorgeous looking airplane? This airplane was designed to be a civilian airliner, but during the time that it was coming to be in the 60s, that's when the jet engines and the 707s and